PMA is what Rockstar used to be called when they made good games like Uniracers. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
It's time, Anthony. It's time. It's
Pumpkin
time.
spice latte season.
That's, well, close. We're near.
Over the
Not
garden
that
wall
time.
Season.
It's also near, but not exactly that time. No,
I don't
it's
know. I
time-
think September 1st.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it season? Are we in fall? Are we in spectacular?
Are we in calendar fall? No, shut up. Are we in fall? Yes.
I hate to be hyper local, Anthony, but my understanding is if you look out your window right now, isn't it like 112?
Yo, it was literally 108 degrees yesterday, and I didn't know. And I walked outside expecting it to be hot, and I walked out and I felt that oppressive, oh no, I have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I have 10 minutes before I just melt.
Spontaneously combust. Yeah.
Yeah, it just ends.
You walk outside and you walk in and you're 2 inches shorter because you melted somehow. Yeah.
Dagger looked up at me like, what is this? Oh no, is it the bad times again?
Yeah.
But no,
exactly
it's fallish.
Fall. It's fall.
It's fallish. I can buy the 12-foot. I can buy the 12-foot Home Depot skeleton right now if I want to. That's fall.
Yeah, I walked
Are
into
you
the
gonna
grocery
get it?
store.
Are you gonna get it? You have a backyard.
I do have a backyard. We have a neighbor that did it last year. Had the 12, enormous.
It's
'Cause
huge.
They had a second story and they just leaned it against the second story.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You can
They
have
did
it like
last year.
look in a window if you want to. It's dope.
Look at it in my son's window.
You should have it look in your.
Night.
Good night. This is Sammy the protective skeleton.
He'll always be watching you. Bye.
Sammy the safety skeleton wants you to be safe with his weird LED eyes.
Yeah, he has bones like are inside you.
Yeah, but big.
That's not what I'm talking about, Anthony. That's not the time. It's time for us to finally tackle the topic we've been avoiding. And that topic.
Over the garden wall?
Oh, man. Don't get me started on Over the Garden. I just watched that for the first time. It is a fall show.
It's a fall show. I haven't watched it yet because I make myself wait until September.
It's mucus. The topic is mucus. We're finally going to meet it head on.
Sort of
Mucus.
fall related.
It is. Yeah. Probably it's the mukiest time of the year, maybe.
It's
perhaps.
the mucus. I don't know. I'm not a songwriter.
Mucus. That is right. Mucus. This story is all about it. This was a story that was posted on our Discord by one of our favorites, Mark. No nickname Nuffer.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
He's
by the
best.
way, if you want to hit up that Discord, hang out, see what's going on. It's kind of a secret society. It's kind of a secret club. I don't know. You could join it if you want. Maybe if you're cool enough, just head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Just cost you $1. So easy. So easy. So a couple of scientists, researchers at the University of Buffalo made some mucus breakthroughs. We know more today, Anthony, about mucus than ever before. You go back 6 months?
Yeah.
We were in the dark about mucus. It was like we knew nothing about mucus. Today, thanks to these intrepid researchers at the University of Buffalo.
This is one of those areas of study where I can't imagine. I mean, maybe they were. I can't imagine as children. You said, I'm going to study mucus. I'm going to unlock the secrets of mucus when I grow up. I'm going to be a mucus scientist.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, I would love, Mommy, Daddy, here's my dream. I would love to research mucus. Do you think that's where it started for one of them? Either of them?
I'm guessing that most kids are researching mucus at every kid is researching mucus in their own way at a certain age.
They're
You know what I'm
certainly
saying?
producing it.
Oh, and putting their fingers in it and putting those fingers in their mouth. Mucus.
Do you think this kid had a jar of mucus?
He's like a little Egon from Ghostbusters?
Yeah, like a little Egon. Like the littlest Egon.
The littlest Egon. Yeah. Hey, I think achieve your dreams. That's the most important part, kids.
Mother, father, I've decided on my course of study for the future.
Oh, yes, Legon?
This might come as a surprise to you, but I've decided to study mucus.
Oh. Well, Well, Leon, your mother and I were hoping that you might become a lawyer like both of us.
A mucus lawyer?
Well,
is mucus law?
Suppose
Can I study mucus law?
Mucus law is a slippery slope.
It's a viscous slope for sure.
Indeed. Well, we were hoping, we want you to feel free to explore the things that you're interested in, but mucus it's a messy topic. It's
maybe mucus law. Maybe I could do mucus law. I could be a lawyer. I like suits because I like having a high collar.
Okay. We're white collar. We're white collar.
Criminals?
Are you about
to confess something to me? I will be a mucus detective, and instead I will find the people that framed my parents using the power of mucus.
Mucus is
I hardly even know this.
This is a fascinating topic, it turns out. Much to my surprise. Here's what they discovered. They were looking at some mucus that was present in saliva. Saliva is a form of mucus. Really anything slimy. We create mucus obviously in our nose, but also our mouths. Mucus obviously, used for all kinds of different things. Lubrication, protection. It's actually protects your teeth. Saliva protects your teeth and the enamel of your teeth.
Extradition of your parents from prison.
That they've been framed by big mucus. You never know.
You never know.
So they're studying saliva, and they discovered that this salivary mucin, which is the parent term for all mucus, mucin, was labeled as MUC7, MUC7.
This is the mucus?
No. Well, this is the fascinating thing about it. There are various mucins that have been labeled, genetically mapped. These are proteins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out this MUC7 is not present in mice, but mice have MUC10.
I think they're better than us.
Yeah, they're 3 better, it turns out.
Wow.
Well, actually, it's a top 10 list, so we're number 7. We're higher.
BuzzFeed's top 9 mucuses.
Click for more info.
Number 6 will surprise you.
Yeah.
Doctors hate this one mucus.
This one mucus is in your house right now, and it might kill you.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more.
So let me make sure. MUC7 or whatever. This is like the main form of mucus found in us?
In our salivary glands. Salivary mucus.
This is saliva mucus. Okay.
Yeah. So what they found out is these 2 proteins, these 2 mucins, were actually not related evolutionarily.
So our mouth mucus and a mouse mouth mucus, different mucus.
Different mucus. In fact.
So how come Ratatouille tastes food the same way we taste food?
Well, we don't know that it tastes food the same way. I mean, I guess it likes food the same way we like food.
I saw Ratatouille, and I know for a fact that Ratatouille has a very, very evolved palate, Jeff.
Yeah. It's refined its palate over time.
Yeah.
Well, the fascinating thing is that they started to look. They checked out 49 different mammals, and they pinpointed 15 distinct mucins that were not present in other species. What this means is each of these mucins evolved independently to do similar jobs.
Okay, so we previously thought, if I understand what you're saying, we previously thought that mucuses of different sorts, salivas and whatnot, across species were going to be the same. We're going to come from the same place because we all do similar things with them. But What you're saying is every species independently evolved its own mucus?
Exactly. And this is not common in nature. So usually if you have 2 different species that have functionally similar attributes, it's because those things share evolutionary ancestors.
Right.
They both kind of evolved. They branched off at a certain point from a common ancestor.
Right.
Big exception to this is bird wings and bat wings, right? This is another example of birds and bats evolved their wings independently. They both evolved to have wings. They didn't have a common ancestors of wings that spread off and just, behaved differently, looked differently.
Okay.
They actually were two different species that evolved the ability to fly in unique ways. But you don't see that very often. It's very, very rare. And to have this happen 15 independent times across these 49 mammals?
You would think mathematically. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You would think mathematically for two land animals in different parts of the world that are part of different ecosystems to create similar wings randomly, mathematically through evolution is fucking wild.
Yes.
So for 15 mammals to do this,
to create mucus that basically has very similar functions, has very similar properties, because what they determined was they found out that mucins evolved from not mucins. They started out as proteins that didn't have any mucus-like features. They didn't have the properties of mucus. They weren't slimy.
They were actually powdery. And everybody's mouth was full of weird powder. It was like this grainy, sandy powder. And all these animals were eating and they were like, I hate eating. And so they died. They died because it was like everything they ate was like a sandwich, biting into a sandwich full of sand at the beach. And so they died.
Powder mouth.
Yeah, they had powder mouth and they died. Not from starvation, from starvation, but from voluntary starvation because eating was so unpleasant.
It's all there in the fossil record. If you look at any fossil from millions of years ago, you'll see the fossil and then you'll see just a cloud of dust right up near its mouth.
Yeah. And they're often you'll find these fossils next to the fossils of sandwiches. Big fossilized.
They couldn't finish the sandwich.
The bones of hoagies.
Hoagie bones.
Hoagie bones. That's my favorite Brendan Fraser movie.
Is the saddest thing in all of evolution that creatures figured out how to make sandwiches without the capability of eating them? That's so sad.
It is sad.
The saddest.
But it answers the question of what came first, Shaggy or the sandwich?
The eternal question.
So, okay, but here's my thing. I get what you're saying, but at a certain point, didn't everything come out of nowhere? You know what I mean? You think about us starting as single cell organisms. You think about us as sort of simple creatures crawling out of the muck or whatever in the slime.
Right.
And eventually everything diverges and new things come out of somewhere. Why does this surprise us that mucin came from non-mucin?
Well, I don't think that point in particular surprises us. The surprise is that each of these species develop mucus independently.
Okay.
That it wasn't a common branching ancestor of this protein. And so these scientists decided to take a closer look and figure out, how does this actually happen? Because you start with a protein that isn't a mucin, and at a certain point, evolution makes it a mucin, makes it mucus-like, makes it viscous and slimy and slippery and lubricative.
And that's not something that proteins normally do?
Well, evidently it is, but we didn't know how or why. And so these guys started looking at this, and what they found out was the way this happens is fascinating. It starts as a regular protein that's not a mucin, and then these amino acids get tacked on to the end of this protein, along with some sugar molecules. So they get tacked on, and then they get tacked on again, and then they get tacked on again. And at a certain point, this same amino acids just getting tacked on to the end of this protein turn it into a mucus. They call these repeats because it's literally like, it's not something, you add some stuff. It's still not that thing. You add more of the same stuff. It's still not that thing. You add more of the same stuff and it becomes that thing.
You're adding some goop to the soup.
But you're adding the same not goop to create soup.
Huh.
Isn't that wild? You add something that isn't the new thing yet, but at a certain point, it becomes the new thing. But you're still adding the same not new thing to it. Did we figure out,
so are you saying we figured out how things become slimy and gross in nature?
Yes.
We found on a protein level, on a molecular level, we've figured out what makes things slimy and or gross.
Yes. Yes. What happens is these PTS amino acids keep getting tacked on, getting repeated onto the end of this protein, and they create this sort of bristle-like structure with kind of sugary coating. And it turns into, if you look at it close up enough, it looks almost like a bottle brush, they call it. Almost like a bristles of a brush.
Okay.
And they eventually have the property of sliminess. They turn slimy. And again, the thing that's so amazing to me about this is that it's like saying, I'm going to take a piece of wood and I'm going to add some nails to it. And I'm going to keep adding nails to it. And then it becomes completely unlike a piece of wood. It becomes...
as far as I'm concerned, that's how all construction works. You just explained construction the way I understand it. You take a piece of wood and then you just keep nailing things. You keep nailing nails into the wood and then there's a building?
Right.
Like to me,
in this case, it would be you keep nailing nails into the end of the piece of wood and it becomes this brush-like structure and then all of a sudden it's slimy? It's wild to me.
Is that not how building things works?
Slimy buildings. Yeah.
Okay. So you might be seeing this question coming, but so what? Well, now that we found out how things get slimy, or how mucus gets slimy, at least, what do we know? What changes? What do we do with this knowledge?
A lot, actually. So the first thing we know is that this is how stuff turns into mucus. Mm-hmm. And there's
Did we turn anything into mucus now?
We're mucus man. Now we're mucus man. Who has the power of the mucus. No, we know that there is this tipping point after which enough of these amino acids, enough of these repeats get added onto a protein that it becomes mucus. But we also can intuit that can happen too much or happen to the wrong tissue, happen to the wrong protein, and maybe it can cause disease like cancer or other minuscule illnesses.
Cancer is slimy?
It's possible that this process, this additive repeating process that transforms one thing into another can kind of go off the rails and go too far.
So this is something. This is not just a function that we haven't seen in like a protein before that could do this one thing. This is who knows what it could do if you add a different amino acid over and over and over again to another protein. This is not a type of building that we've ever seen in nature.
Right, where it just keeps tacking on. It's again the key here is that it's not developing new features because it's adding strange new elements. It's adding the same elements over and over and over. And at a certain point, just because it has a lot of those elements, it gets new functionality.
Well, that's not surprising because if I drink a lot of dairy over and over and over again, I get mucusy.
That's right.
I'm just adding one dairy over and over again, and then my body turns it into mucus. So I could have told these scientists that this was happening.
The old Anthony drinks milk study.
This is the drinking milk study. You want to know how to make mucus? I'll tell you how to make mucus. You just add one simple thing over and over again. Lactose.
Yeah. Well, lactus is already mucusy, kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you just keep adding it, and it gets more and more mucusy. So what can we turn into a mucus now? Have they turned any animals into mucus?
Yeah, horses are now mucus. I don't know if you've seen horses lately, but they're now mucus.
I figured horses would be first. Do you know why I figured horses would be first?
Why?
Too powerful, too strange.
Too powerful, too strange, too beautiful.
Too powerful, too strange, too beautiful.
Yeah.
Simply, I knew that they had to have some sort of weakness. And it had to have been, because here's the thing, Jeff, horse killed Superman. And Superman have one weakness, I guess two. We thought Superman was only weak to kryptonite, but it's kryptonite and horse. And so horse must have equally powerful weakness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mucus.
Well, now it's much harder to get onto the horse.
Good.
Because they're so slimy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that science has done this to horses.
The other thing that this breakthrough reveals, and I think this is incredible as well, because we see this independently evolved across many species. It isn't like, hey, there's this thing that needed to happen. It happened. And then that branched out into a whole bunch of species because they had that. It was each of these independently evolved from its own thing, its own protein. A weird protein over here made thing mucusy. A weird different protein in a different animal turned into a mucus. What scientists are realizing is that there may be some other externality, some other pressure that's put onto creatures as they're evolving that requires the mucus.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the thing that I was thinking is, okay, you have all these creatures and they need to eat and they need to digest and they need to break food down, right?
Yes.
So they're all independently, their bodies are like, hey, we would survive better if we could more efficiently break down and digest this food. How do we make it easier? How do we stop eating these sandy powder sandwiches? And they all came up with the same random solution. There's no animal there's no mammal that's like, and then I won't have mucus.
Right.
I'll do it another way.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
there may be. I don't know.
There might be. I don't know. What's a mammal that doesn't have mucus?
Probably some.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know all mammals, but you know what I'm saying? That
Scandinavian people? They're tall and perfect. Do they need mucus?
I don't know. They do. They are.
Do tall, good-looking people need mucus?
They are strangely dry all the time.
Like the horses of people. They're majestic and powerful and a little intimidating.
The idea that this requirement that you're talking about was solved in the same way evolutionarily across these different species without any overlap, without any, evolutionary overlap is really weird. It's weird that there must be some focused kind of pressure that causes this to happen that is more in the environment or an external pressure that is consistent, because there has to be some commonality, right? There has to be some common reason that this was solved in the same way independently so many different times, right? Right. And for it to be different proteins that started in different ways, that's wild. Like all roads lead to mucus. All roads lead to mucus. Like there's no way around it. Like if you are a mammal and you want to have food and breathe air through nose and all this stuff, baby, you have to have mucus. There's no way around it. Mucus. And this comes down to my thesis statement, Jeff. This is going to be so important for my research, which is life is gross. Disgusting. You know that I've been trying to prove this. And this is a huge breakthrough for me. Like it was a big part of your Anthony drinks milk study is to prove how disgusting life is. I am standing on the slippery soldiers of gooey giants here. Or shoulders even. I wanted to know. I wanted proof that all life is gross.
I wake up in the morning and I say it. And so I know in my heart that it's true. I wake up and I go, ugh, life, gross.
Yeah.
And then I get up and brush my teeth or whatever. I don't know. Some days I don't. Some days I stay in bed and I don't do anything. But it's because I know in my heart, my mucusy, disgusting heart, that all life is gross. And this study brings me one step closer to presenting my findings.
Everybody's been pressuring you to say life is not disgusting.
I won't do it.
Here you are, a maverick, a rebel, a lone voice in the dark saying, ew!
Jeff, you're saying that people are exerting pressure on me, but pressure must be felt. I do not feel this pressure. I know that people want me to say that life is not disgusting, but it does not bother me at all.
Yeah.
And I do not get any closer to saying it. I don't feel this pressure, Jeff. I know that life is disgusting.
That's what makes you a visionary.
That's what makes me... Listen, if you are a patron and you're watching the video version of this, I want you to know I literally have my fingers in the Steve Jobs steeple. I am giving I'm giving a TED Talk. I am a visionary. I understand the grossness of life.
Anthony has put together a 115 slide deck.
And none of them have any science until now. There was no proof. It was just that I knew it.
So gross. Just such gross pictures you put together.
Because it's all gross, baby. I didn't even have to go far for those.
So we know that the tear duct was repurposed into salivary glands in rats.
No, wait. What do you mean we know that? You just said that like it's a thing. What do you mean? Like, so rats had tear duct.
No, it's even weirder than that. So Muc7 is not related to Muc10,
right?
Which is the salivary mucus in rodents.
Right. 7 is us, 10 is rodents.
There's a protein in human tears called prol1, which does share a portion
of the
people. Does share right at the top of the list here.
The protein of the working class.
Yeah. It does share a portion of its structure with Muc10. So prol1 looks like Muc10 minus the sugar-coated brush stuff, the repeats that make it a mucus.
So wait. So our tear ducts are full of a substance that rats went pretty good as tears would be better as slime for eating.
Yes.
Huh. How did they get
somehow
that?
The tear gene gets repurposed. It gains those repeats, and it gets repurposed as mucusy slime. By the way, these amino acids in the repeats are proline, threonine, and serine.
My 3 favorite shampoos. So you're telling me that tears do their reps and turn into mucus?
You gotta do your reps.
You gotta do your reps. So, okay. So there are commonalities, like these base substances exist across species, but we've transformed them in different ways.
Well, what you see here is this protein that is in our tear ducts.
Mm-hmm.
And we're related to rats and mice evolutionarily. That's why we can do studies on rats and mice in labs and have it apply to humans.
Yeah, they got like human brain, but tiny. We love to fuck with it.
We love to fuck with it. We will torture the shit out of a mouse. It turns out that there is some connection. We don't know exactly why or how, but there's some connection between the protein in our tear duct and the protein that started as a protein, but added these repeats and became salivary glands in rats. So, but again, independently, because what our salivary gland started as is a different protein.
Right.
So we both got saliva in our mouths, this mucusy stuff that protects our teeth, helps lubricate food going down our throats, all these functions
helps prove the innocence of our parents.
Yeah, creates sick loogies that we can do off our neighbor's porch, you know? But they started as different proteins. They started completely evolutionarily separate.
Right.
And they ended up doing the same crazy thing.
We both had these proteins, but we used them in different ways, randomly.
Well, we had different proteins. That's the thing.
But you're saying that Prol 1 exists in us and in rats, but we're using it in different ways.
Yes.
So we both of our bodies took this protein and we're like, we got to do something with this Prol 1. This is solid protein. Like, we just got all this Prol 1 lying around and it feels like it's going to waste out here. I've got protein. Listen, I've got Prol 1 stacked up in the back, 3 pallets high. We got to figure out how to move this protein.
Exactly.
And humans were like, well, we'll convert it into sadness. And rats were like, we'll use it to eat more food because we love food. And that's why rats are better than us.
Exactly.
Is because we decided we were going to convert it into sadness.
And rats, as you know, don't get sad, or else we wouldn't be murdering them in droves in laboratories.
They don't get sad. They evolutionarily can't. And that's why we can do horrible things to them, because they don't feel it. They don't feel it.
They took their sadness protein and turned it into yum-yums, mouth yum-yums.
Turned into a yum-yum protein. And now we don't have to worry about what we do to them or any other animal. Listen, what if we had decided evolutionarily to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and we had to cry to eat?
I mean, I kind of do.
I mean, I eat and cry, but that's a decision. But what if we had to?
Cry to eat?
What if we had to cry? I'll tell you what, I probably wouldn't have a beard. Like, there wouldn't be a lot of beards and mustaches because you would want those tears to get in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. You cry to lubricate the food?
You had to cry. You had
work
to
up
cry
a real
into
sob.
it. Yeah. You had to work up a good cry. This could have happened.
I'm so hungry. Let's watch a sad movie real quick.
Yeah. It would be like the reverse of those lizards that have to use their tongues to wet their eyeballs.
Yes. Yeah, it would be the exact opposite of that.
So don't tell me that evolutionarily I'm just doing a bit. This is not a bit. This could have happened.
It did happen in the reverse.
It happened in reverse, and it could happen to you in reverse.
Hey, look left, look to the right. If it hasn't happened in either of those directions, it's probably happening to you.
You're probably lizard person. Is Mark Zuckerberg listening to this podcast right now?
I mean, of course he is.
Of course he is.
I mean, of course.
Hey, you lizard. I know you're listening. Stop fucking everybody's life, dumb lizard. You have enough money already. There, I said it.
That's not how we retain listeners, Anthony. We need to.
I don't want him
one
to
listener
listen.
at a time.
I don't want him to listen. I want him to fix his shit. I don't care if Mark Zuckerberg listens. I want him to stop listening and fix his shit. Dumb lizard.
I like this doctor, by the way, the doctor who co-authored the study, Dr. Gockuman, says,
that
I've been
sounds
studying...
like somebody who studies mucus.
Gockuman. Yeah. Dr. Gockuman. You have to spit while you talk.
You say Gockuman and it's like Gockuman.
Gockuman and Rule. Gockuman and Rule. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure they're fine, upstanding.
They're wonderful people. I'm just saying sometimes, like a Charles Dickens story, your name matches your job.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think that's true. Yeah. Destined from an early age.
Mm-hmm.
Little Dr. Gockuman.
Father, is I, Egon Gockuman.
We want you to join the practice of Gockuman, and splash.
But I have no interest in the law. I merely have interest in mucus. Cut to 10 years later. Little Egon Gockuman is sitting on a gargoyle in the city. I thought I had no interest in it. And then in the night, my parents were framed. And so now I will turn every criminal in the city into mucus. Every horse will melt until I have the answer.
No, don't take our horses.
He thinks he's the hero, but he's an anti-hero.
That's right.
Kids love an anti-hero.
Yeah, they love a slimy anti-hero.
They sure do.
Tell me about. From now on, will call me Dr. Mucus.
Tell me about Dr. Gockuman.
He's been studying mucins for many decades.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how do you get into that? I know this article is not going to go there, but I want to know how if somebody genuinely decides baby, it's mucus. That's what I'm studying. It's what I'm interested in. It's what I like.
They divvy it all up at scientist school. They divvy up what you're going to, somebody gets like, musculature. Somebody gets, eye color, genetic eye color.
Yeah.
And then somebody gets mucus, it just.
I feel like it in my mind, it can only work like an anime where you are assigned something. Like you're destined to do it, Like there's no way you can help it. Simply the tests have spoken and the science tribunal has spoken and you are now Dr. Mucus.
Sorry
or congrats.
Oh, congrats. Exactly.
Sorry and you're welcome. So he's been studying mucus for decades. And
decades.
This must be the breakthrough that he's been looking for.
Dude, that's what these articles are all about, man. There's tons of coverage of this because huge day for the mucus community.
First of all, the mucus community it was about time. The mucus community needed a win.
They really did.
Do you know what I mean?
They really did. They've been spit on for too long.
And honestly, it's part of their job. And they have to accept that.
Yeah.
They've been spit on and around and near. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And you're welcome.
Hey, you shouldn't have chosen this. And by chosen, I mean, the tribunal shouldn't have declared that you had to be spit on for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's what I say.
So big day for the mucus community.
Congrats.
And then B, we literally didn't know that protein functions could evolve like this. I'm struggling to express how crazy it is that you can take something, you can add another thing to it, and it doesn't change it, but you keep adding that same thing to it. It's like
somewhere there are evolutionary biologists and microbiologists and all of these people like in these different communities, like people who are working trying to create medicines and all of this stuff. And they haven't been able to figure it out. And they woke up this morning going, fuck, the mucus guy figured it out.
Yes.
The mucus guy wasn't even studying that. The fucking mucus guy got it.
The fucking mucus guy.
They wake up, they open up their science newspaper. They take a long, slow sip of their science coffee.
Yeah.
And they look at the front page and boom, mucus and coffee everywhere. And they go, the fucking mucus guy figured it out? I've been studying this for 40 years.
Everybody underestimates the mucus guy.
Fuck. I've just been looking for how these proteins work.
I'm going to attempt another metaphor on this one because I'm struggling to express how cool I think this is.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's say you take some cheese and some eggs.
Yes.
And you've got an omelet.
Love it. I'm with you so far.
And then you just keep adding eggs to the recipe.
Bigger omelet.
And all of a sudden, it's not an omelet anymore. Like all you did was add more eggs to the omelet. And somehow it becomes a pancake.
Right.
It's like, it has completely different properties, but all you did was add more of the same ingredients.
Right. You just kept,
That shouldn't happen, dude.
Yeah. But it did.
It's cool, right?
It fucking
did. It
did.
just becomes mucus. You just keep adding those amino acids. Adding a few of them, it's not mucus.
Right.
It's still not mucus. It's still not mucus. Now it's mucus. That's wild to me.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I feel like this is one of those ones, and I do apologize. I feel like this is one of those ones where your mind is blown, and I'm just not following you there. Like, I understand it. It's not that I don't understand it. I don't want you to know this. It's not that I don't understand it. And it's not that I'm not picking up what you're putting down, which is disgusting. It's real gross and slimy what you're putting down. And
thank you.
And I understand why it's a big deal. And I understand the ramifications. But there are certain things that make me want to woohoo high five. And for some reason,
not mucus.
This one's just not doing it. It might just be that it's mucus. I don't know.
It might be that it's mucus. I mean, this is what the entire mucus community runs into every single day.
Right.
It's
like, oh, how's the mucus study going? It's like, oh, I asked to be polite. You really shouldn't talk too much to me about mucus. Honestly, we're in polite company and you shouldn't. I'm eating and I understand that requires mucus, but I don't want you to talk to me about your mucus job at all. When do you think the mucus scientist gets to talk like at length about mucus to people?
Not at the dinner party. That's for sure.
No.
You know?
What's the polite company
fair.
you do it? I mean, you can talk to like third graders about it. They love it.
No, you don't understand. This is a massive breakthrough. Yeah, but
I have
we just got appetizers.
Yeah, I have a little slider. They're handing out little sliders. And I love little sliders, and I don't want you to ruin this for me.
But this is literally, I've worked for decades.
No.
For this moment.
And
this
I have waited 10 minutes for the lady to come around with the sliders.
This could be a tool in combating cancers of all kinds.
This could be Kobe beef. You have got to stop before I lose my appetite.
Fair enough. Do you mind if I wipe your chin real quick?
There goes fucking Egon Gockuman. All he wants to talk about is mucus. And yet, he cannot help us get closer to finding out the identity of Dr. Mucus.
Yeah. It's so weird. You never see them in the same place at the same time.
It is very weird, but I don't want to talk about it because it's gross. I just want to eat. And that's why we haven't gotten any closer, I think, to finding the culprit. The fucking rats are like, we know who it is.
Yeah. Oh, if you could ask the rats.
If you'd ask the rats, but nobody ever does with their tiny human brains.
Their lack of sadness.
And their lack of sadness and their mucus.
Are you a guy that gets really weirded out by your own mucus? You know, like if you have a cold and you're snotting up a lot and you're blowing your nose a lot, or does it weird you out?
I'll say this. I don't get weirded out by having, look, you know my feeling. I genuinely do wake up in the morning going, the human body is a gross, disgusting, organic machine. I do. Yeah. But I know it. I don't feel it. Like I don't get grossed out by it. I'm simply like, this is the reality of having a body. But I will say there's one weird thing. There's one weird trick, and doctors hate it. And it's when I do get sick, the only thing that really will gross me out is the sheer amount that my body can produce. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you're just like blowing your nose, and I apologize to anybody, but we're talking about mucus. Put your sliders down. You know that thing where like you've been sick for like 2 days and you're like, how? How is there still, surely my body must be out of everything required to make this. Yeah. How am I still doing it? How does it fit inside of me? Surely it can't.
Yeah.
I'm just one. I know the size of me. I know the size of me as a jar. It cannot be filled with this many jelly beans. Do you know what I mean?
Guess what? Your jelly beans keep coming out of you.
That's the thing. How about you? Are you weirded out by that sort of thing?
No, not really. I mean, I've got the 2 young kids, and so
I've
had other people's mucus now, much more than my own, on me, around me. You know,
I feel like it's like, you know how they tell you once you go skydiving, it's like it's tough to be afraid of heights. You know, I feel like once facing your mucus fears.
Once
you've changed a diaper, or like, I feel like nothing the human body, once you've changed diapers and seen all the things, look, you think you know what's going to go on in a diaper and what's down there. You don't. You never know.
God, no.
You never know.
You don't want to know.
And so I feel like once you've been changing diapers, like what about the human body is going to gross you out? What's going to do it?
Yeah. There's a little part of you that dies inside.
Yeah.
And that is your ability to be, to recoil.
There's nothing. It's like once you have, if, and God forbid, I hope not everybody listening does, but if you ever have like a surgical procedure and you go through the process of them like doing all the poking and prodding and the imaging and all the stuff they need to do to even get into you. And then they do it and you're recovering from surgery. Like once that happens, you're like, oh, the human body is so gross. And there's not even on a day to day, the human body is only at 5% of its total possible grossness.
That's so true. So true. You know, I do that thing where, your kid has some gross bit of mucus coming out of them and there's no napkin or tissue around.
Yeah.
And so the solution is to literally use my hand to wipe it off of them.
Yes.
Now it's on my hand. I didn't have a solution to wipe it off of them.
Nope.
I certainly don't have a solution to wipe it off of me, but now at least it's off of them.
Right.
And on to me. Why is that better? I don't know.
It's
I
not
still
better.
Do it.
That is the dumb fucking parenting instinct. You look at child and you see mucus on child, mucus bad, mucus means sickness. And so you must remove mucus from child. Buddy, that's not doing anything for anybody.
No.
That's not doing anything. It's just going to make you sick on top of them.
Now I have a useless hand.
Yeah.
A hand that can't touch anything. It's just covered in mucus now, this hand.
And whatever cold your kid has, except mutated, and now you're going to pass it back and forth for another round.
Yeah.
And that's why I have to say, mucus. I know it's probably useful. I understand the digestion thing that we're talking about. I understand using mucus to keep things out, to keep viruses out and foreign substances out as a barrier, all that stuff. I understand it, but let me ask you this, Jeff. Couldn't we just get rid of it?
It sounds like no. It sounds like it's going to evolve independently no matter what we do. You know? Are you not fascinated by that aspect of it? That
I'm fascinated by the fact that out of all these mammalian species, not a single one came up with a different solution to the problem of digestion and lubrication, all this stuff. It was all gross slime. It was like, how do we make all of these things easier? And the answer, I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like it's motor oil for the body, right? Like all this stuff can't be rubbing up against itself. It's going to break.
Yeah.
So what do we do? And every single mammal was like, what if we made our bodies create the nastiest shit?
Exactly. What if we just lather it up? What if we just roll in the goop?
And you know, you think about evolution, you think about like Occam's razor and all that stuff. And that means the best solution was mucus.
Yes. Again and again and again.
Again and again and again, when faced with the problem, life said, make it slimy.
Yeah. Like Jeff Goldblum says in that movie, life finds a goop.
Life finds a goop. And it's like Jeff Goldblum says in his personal life, which is like, hey, baby, make it slimy. That's like if you live in LA, you kind of know, like everybody's like, oh, I have my Jeff Goldblum story. Everybody does. And some people are like, oh, yeah, I saw Jeff Goldblum. And it's like, was he talking about making it slimy again? And everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, but he's so charming. If I was walking around, if my catchphrase was, hey, baby, make it slimy, I'd be in prison.
Yeah.
I'd be in prison, Jeffrey.
Maybe you should be. Just based on your 112 photo deck of the grossest part of humans.
It's the slime.
These guys, you know, the 49, you didn't even ask me about the 49 different mammals that they checked out to find the 15 different mucins.
Dog.
Do you know that they checked out rhinoceros?
Okay.
Mucin?
Human, dog, cat, bear. You said rhino. I mean, 49 is basically all of them, right?
They did cows. Obviously, cows are have you ever seen a cow fucking slobber all over everything?
Dude, a fucking cow's mouth is the grossest thing.
Yeah. Mucins all up in there, baby.
Oh, so many mucins.
Ferrets. They did ferrets.
Oh, God. That's so funny. I can imagine them getting saliva samples from a ferret. Just the ferret's just wiggling around and doing that weird ferret jump where it's like,
They found that a ferret's mucins are completely unrelated to a cow's or a human's. A ferret figured out how to make mouth mucus differently than a cow figured out how to make mouth mucus.
Dude, ferrets are crafty. Crazy. They can do all kinds of things you wouldn't expect. You could, like, my friend had a ferret growing up. You'll find it in the weirdest places.
Your mouth?
Ferret will get in your mouth. Think ferret won't get in your mouth? Ferret will get in your mouth if it can.
If it can. You let it.
If you leave your mouth open, you think ferret won't get in there?
Listen to this.
Okay.
Ferrets have a total of 5 mucins that are unique to them alone. 5. They came up with 5 different mucins that nobody else gets.
How many mucins do we do we have? How many mucins does a mammal have on average?
Well, I don't want to have to enumerate them, but there's a lot.
Is 5 a lot?
Your mouth, your saliva is different than your snot, which is different than, like vaginal secretion, which is different. There's a lot of different mucins that we use for different things.
So 5's a lot?
For a ferret?
You don't know, man. Ferrets are complicated.
But they have 5 that no other mammal has.
Yeah.
They came up with 5 different mucins all by themselves, independently, without any...
that a lot? You're not answering the question. How many unique mucins does every mammal have? Is 5 a lot?
Dr. Gockuman says that ferrets are a standout.
Oh,
ferrets have a total of 5 mucins unique to them alone.
Thank you. Maybe instead of making me feel bad, you could just answer the question. And you did.
Gockuman anticipates that there are many unique mucins left to discover.
Oh.
So, he's just getting started, baby.
That's the thing is he's
just getting started.
You want to set a goal, reach it, but don't just revel in reaching the goal. Know that there's a higher goal out there, because that's what you need a purpose. That's what gives life meaning. And Dakagaka knows that. Dakagaka knows that. Dakagaka Flame knows that if he found the building block, right? He knows how the mucin is made now. But now it's like, yo, there are mucins that I've never even seen, and I've seen them all. I'm Dakagaka.
I've been studying mucins for decades, and now I just realized there's just an undiscovered country of mucins.
Jeff, the only thing we know about slime is that we don't know anything about slime.
Do you want to guess where Gockuman is taking his research next? I'll give you a hint. It's
the urgent care.
The hint is it's the most obvious place. It's the place where you would have thought he would have started, and now he's only getting there now.
The set of Double Dare.
Yes, the locker of You Can't Do That.
Yeah, the Kids' Choice Awards. He's going to where there's the most viscous slime there could be on Earth. He's going to Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida.
Well, you're half right. He said he's going next to slugs and snails.
You don't start at slugs and snails?
That's what I said. That seems like place one to start if he's going for decades on mucus and he's just getting to slugs and snails?
Buddy, what about your fundamentals? You got to practice the fundamentals.
Yeah.
You can't play piano unless you practice your scales. You can't play basketball unless you practice your dribbling. You can't know anything about mucus unless you're talking about slugs and snails.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
They held up a mouse and a slug in front of Dr. Gockuman, and he was like, now that I know the mouse. That one I know. But the one in your left hand, that I find very interesting. This is like the equivalent of like when you're learning something on your own with YouTube tutorials and then you meet a professional.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, I've been, I learned this about audio production and I have this in my side chain and I have that and like blah, blah, blah. And they're like, dude, you set your gain properly? And you're like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
You can change that?
It's like you run into a guy who's like, I've been studying basketball for decades. And like, oh wow, how many NBA games have you gone to? And he's like, the NBA what now?
Yeah. I'm sorry, people do what? He like runs across the court without bouncing the ball. He's like, I know all the dunks. No, dude. No. You can't know all the dunks yet.
Slugs and snails, baby. That's
Slugs
the next,
and
snails.
That's
the next one. He found 5 mucins in ferrets before he picked up a fucking slug.
Dude, this guy's going to have a heart attack. When he finds out how slimy snails are, he's going to lose his goddamn mind. Man, that's like, it's like when a kid is really into something. Like a kid has a hobby and you're just like, like a kid it's taken a kid to Legoland. The kid didn't know the scale of which you could build things with Legos. The kid didn't know that there were that many Legos in the world. You're gonna walk Dr. Gockuman up to a snail and he's gonna lose his goddamn shit. He's gonna be like, look at all this slime.
It's gonna be amazing.
This thing is like mostly slime. Get rid of this fucking shell. This thing's trash. But look at how much slime this is.
This guy's been studying warm rocks. And somebody's like, have you seen fire?
No. No, this is so much. My food makes me so much less sick. This is fucked up. Why didn't he? Okay, I mean, I understand wanting to focus on mammals and figure things out in mammals, but I also know that you got to start where the most information is, right?
You'd think, but I think honestly, all joking aside, the way into
all joking aside, fuck you, buddy. No.
The way into this was, I'm curious about human salivary glands and mucus in humans, and I want to, help humans. And then the realization was, oh my God, these mucins aren't common across all these species. Well, maybe now we should go back and look at slugs and snails because maybe there's information there that can help us. I think it's a much more obvious.
Well, and I guess it's possible, since all of these mucins are unconnected throughout mammals, we may find connections in other kinds of creatures that we didn't expect.
Yeah. Right?
There's no reason, now that we know that we ain't got no saliva in common with anybody else, maybe our saliva is like snail more than it's like dog.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be snail.
Could be slug.
Could be either.
It's pretty wild. And this notion that stuff can just evolve in ways that we didn't think that proteins could, I think that's probably going to open up a whole lot of investigation into a lot of other avenues of discovery.
Exactly. Like we have often thought about, I think about like folding at home, things like that.
Yeah.
I think about these studies that are like, well, we're going to check out how these different proteins fold because we think that may lead us to figuring out different diseases, different things. And it has, but this is a completely different model to work from, where it's like, oh, these things can change and mutate and turn into completely different things inside your body in a way that we had no idea. And so doing all of these things could be happening correctly and incorrectly, and we don't even know what correct and incorrect looks like yet.
Yeah.
And so this is like a whole different line of research. That's cool. Slime's cool. Kids know it.
I see. You scoffed when I brought up mucus at the beginning, but here we are.
Well, I was clearing my throat.
Oh.
Because I have a lot of mucus. This is cool. Hey, everybody, are you still listening, or did you have to turn this off? Because
you have to answer us if we ask. You have to tell us if you're a cop.
You have to tell us if you're some sort of mucus cop, and you also have to tell us if you're Dr. Mucus, who has been committing crimes across the city, and you also have to legally, if you've been listening to this, sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah. And it's so easy. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns, which is simple. We have tiers. Unlike rats, we have tiers. We have tiers as low as $1 a month. $1 a month. Surely you can spare us a single crisp dollar bill a month. And that would get you access to our Discord community where stories like this are surfaced, all kinds of great conversations.
And stories that are less gross.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're not into mucus or bodily fluids, that's cool. We talk about more stuff there. Not a lot more.
Also stuff that's more gross.
Yeah.
So there's a whole spectrum.
Yeah, we don't yuck anybody's yum over on patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Stay slimy, baby.